Welcome everyone to Workshop Wednesdays, Custom Collaboratives Workshop Wednesdays. We're going to get started here. So welcome everyone. I'm Angelique Terry-Long. I'm the lead instructor at Custom Collaborative. And thank you for joining us today at Custom Collaborative and GDA's workshop. We are at M&S Schmalberg. It's a flower making company in the Garment District. And I'd like to start by introducing Ngozi Okado, our Executive Director at Custom Collaborative, who would like to say a few words.
Hi, thank you so much, Angelique, for the introduction. I'm so excited to see you all here today and glad that Custom Collaborative is able to sponsor this workshop in collaboration with Garment District Alliance. Many of you might know that Custom Collaborative is going on an external hiatus for July 1st through 31st, which means that we, as a staff, are taking a break in a way. We won't be working on external projects, but we have many infrastructure and team building things that we need to do and to refresh and recuperate from the past 15 months or so of COVID. I'm so excited to learn more about flower making today. And at the end of the program, I will share with you a little bit more about what we're doing. So if you have questions about M&S or about Custom Collaborative, please do put them in the chat. And thank you so much for joining us. Back over to you, Angelique.
Thank you for that introduction, Ngozi. So I'm going to turn it over to our co-host, Anthony. He is there live at M&S, and we're excited to see what's going on there. Take it away, Anthony.
Thank you, Angelique and Ngozi. I'm Anthony. If you don't know me, I am production manager at Custom Collaborative, and I'm coming to you live from the Garment District on 36th Street. And I'm joined by Custom Collaborative participants, Annalisa and Stacy. If you want to just say hello. Hi. And for those of you joining us today that are just being introduced to Custom Collaborative is a nonprofit entrepreneurship and workforce development organization which trains and empowers women, particularly women from low-income and immigrant communities, to start their own fashion businesses, whether that be in design, development, or production. And we've partnered with Garment District Alliance to highlight, support, and revitalize this very important part and heart of NYC. The businesses here in the Garment District provide crucial resources to our fashion industry. And through these ongoing workshops, we'll take you behind the scenes and into Garment District's studios, stores, and factories, with our goal being shared learning and collaboration among our industry. And today we're very happy to be at M&S Schmalberg, who has been making custom fabric flowers since 1916. Before we begin, as Ngozi shared, if you have any questions, please send them in the Zoom chat, and we'll do a Q&A at the end of the workshop. So with that, let's begin. M&S Schmalberg is a fourth-generation family-owned company. Their artificial flowers have been complemented the apparel, wedding, accessory, millinery, and home furnishing industries for 100 years. So I'd like to welcome Adam for welcoming us. And thank you so much, Adam, for letting us come join you today.
Thank you, Anthony. My name is Adam Brandt. First of all, I just want to thank Custom Collaborative for hosting this. It's an honor to be asked to do these things. And you guys have such a wonderful cause, so it's a double honor. One of my favorite things to do pre-pandemic was to give factory tours and to talk about the business. And that's kind of been robbed of me and really robbed of all of us. We closed back in March last year. We were closed for about 3 months. And I've done a couple virtual tours for my house where I talk about the business and show pictures and stuff. And this is one of the very first experiences that I've had to share what we do from here. So even though you can't all be here right now, I'm very excited to be able to do this. So the company, as Anthony said, was started in 1916, which makes us 105 years old. Company was started by my great uncle, that's two greats, Morris and Sam Schmalberg. People often ask me why they started a flower company, and I don't know because I wasn't around back then. But what I do know is that the flower making craft is an ancient craft that actually goes back to Egypt. I recently learned that. And when they started the company in the heyday of the garment district, there was over 150 flower and feather factories in the city. We're the only ones today, just to give you perspective as to how crazy that was. So why flowers specifically, I don't know, but this was a craft, and this was something that was a big part of what made the Garment Center what it was. I actually participated in a panel earlier today about how the art, it was an artisan garment district showcase. I'm probably butchering the exact name, but one of the guys there was he's a colleague of mine, but he's a little older, and just listening to him talk about what the garment district used to be kind of gave me chills. And I like being able to preserve that as much as I can. A little history: my grandfather Harold Brand was a Holocaust survivor. It's a big part of what makes us who we are. We are survivors. We're the only company left that does this. His story is you could do a whole presentation just on him. He was in Poland. I don't exactly know his age, but let's say 15. A kid, and he lost his mother, his father, two brothers, a sister, killed. I mean, I've heard him speak hours about it, and it's just I think about my worst day. Growing up on Long Island and in New York, and I have my ups and my downs, but it's nothing like that. So I get gratitude for it. And he's a literal survivor because he survived that. And I think those instincts and those characteristics that were in him led him to be the survivor that he was in business as well. And there were tough times in business, and he would do whatever he had to do to survive. I've been told he sold Arnold Palmer shirts, like with like collars. He sold Christmas wreaths. He had a little fabric store back in the day. Just anything to keep the lights on. My grandpa got married. He had two kids, my dad Warren and my aunt Deborah, who both eventually took over the business. And they were in charge for forever, really. My aunt passed away a couple of years ago. My dad, he's doing fine. He's even better. He's better than all of us. He's like half retired. He 2 years ago he had a minor hip surgery, nothing serious, and then COVID happened, and now he just kind of likes not coming to work, which is okay because I love keeping it going. So that was the history. Who are we? What do we do? We make flowers here. Behind me, you can see some of what we've done. All the flowers that you see behind me and all the stuff that you see as we venture around the factory is all made here. It's handmade in our New York City factory. And everything that you see can be made really any way that you want. We work with a lot of large scale designers. We did a project with Vera Wang where they wanted these really big flowers, like 14 inches, and they had very specific requests. And the lady who came up here, one of their senior designers, started tearing through our boxes. Behind me, you can see the white and the black, but in front of me, there's blues and there's reds. We have oranges. We have all sorts of colors. And she pulled a bunch of different things, and she created, like, I call it like a Frankenflower, like Frankenstein, because she had like a green bud and then red petals around it and then a blue this. And she wasn't trying to make a rainbow. She was trying to show me what she wanted. And she created something new. And she brought her fabric. We made it for her. They liked it. Vera approved it. We made it in a bunch of colors, and it turned into a new style. And that's how the design process works. We've done flowers for television shows. We just did a lot of stuff for The Gilded Age, which is going to be a new HBO show. Our flowers are all over The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. There was Radio City Rockettes, the New York City Ballet, the Australian Ballet, a lot of ballets in between the two of them. Our hallway, when you walk in here, you could see like the Wall of Fame, and there's a lot of celebrities. I'll just rattle off names: Beyonce, Anne Hathaway, Scarlett Johansson, Drew Barrymore. Drew Barrymore wears our flowers all the time on the Drew Barrymore show, which is really amazing. We've been featured in the New York Times. We were in Women's Wear Daily. We are a Martha Stewart 2016 American Made honoree. I got to meet her, which was really amazing. And just one of the cool things about the whole fashion, the whole cycle of fashion, is that she found our company and was, I guess, impressed by what we do. And that's Musa, and impressed by what we do and liked us and made us an honoree. And a few months earlier, I was watching the Justin Bieber roast on Comedy Central. You guys can't judge me for that. And I see Martha Stewart, who was on it, and she's wearing a dress. And this, you guys can find this online. She's wearing a dress with leaves all over it. And it just kind of looked familiar to me. And I paused the TV because we live in the future now. And I sent a picture to my dad. And right away, he said, "Oh, that's our L360 leaf." They all have these silly, ridiculous names. And he was able to decipher that we made the leaf for an embroidery house who made a trim for Monique Lullier, who then yada, 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 Martha's stylist. And here she is wearing the thing. And the irony, if that's the right word for this, is that she honors us as an American Made honoree and doesn't even realize that just months earlier, she was actually wearing our stuff. I thought that was a really cool full circle thing. We're in New York City, the rent, labor, et cetera, there's certainly a lot of sales that we need to keep the lights on. So we need that big production from large companies. But what I've really enjoyed as of late is more personal projects. We have an Etsy shop, so people will go online and buy 1 or 2 flowers. You guys are welcome to do that, of course. But what I really love is, like, I've had people bring their grandmother's wedding dress and we made flowers out of it for a bouquet. I had somebody just 2 weeks ago, we shipped it. She sent me her wedding dress and she wanted us to make a bunch of long stem roses for all of her kids, for whatever, each one had their own purpose. And to me, that's what makes us special, that we could literally take any material, whether it's, I mean, everything you see here it's white and off-white silk, but it doesn't have to be. You have these petals that Anthony brought in that are just a mix of beautiful colors. And I believe the fabrics were even recycled. We've made flowers. When we're done with all these masks, I could take them and cut them up into flowers. If you have, on a sad note, I had someone who sent me a Hawaiian shirt from, this was a couple of years ago, so I don't remember the details, but it was someone who was deceased. And we made flowers that this person gave. I don't remember the details, but I know it was something, really, and that, to me, I love that stuff. I love being able to do that. And I love what I do. I'm so glad that I'm able to, even semi-virtually, share it with y'all. So I think the next step is, I could sit here and I could talk for an hour and a half, but you probably all jump out the window. I think the next step is I'm going to take you around the factory and show you what we do.
That would be great. Yeah, Adam's the type of person you can really talk to for hours because he has so many good stories, and I would happily do it. And hopefully there's time at the Q&A for more questions for sure.
I like questions, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me. It helps me say more stuff.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start the tour. I'm gonna switch cameras and then we'll give you a behind the scenes tour of M&S.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hi. Did you want to say anything, or am I just good to go?
You're good to go.
Hello,
Leave it to you.
welcome to M&S Schmalberg. So we still have the same angle, so I'm going to turn a little bit so we can see a little more stuff. There's a big wall of white flowers over there. You have the black flowers here. There's some grays and silvers. You could do, Stacy could do a full 360 and you'll see a melange of different colors. So these are all boxes that are filled with different things. And as we progress, you're going to see there's even a lot more boxes than this. All these boxes are filled with different flowers. Some things we have a bunch of the same flower, same piece. Some things we have 1 or 2 of, or literally just 1 of. So our odd stock is always different. And that's sort of the beauty of what it is. When we're working with certain clients, like a milliner, which is a hat maker, or a small designer who wants something special, they'll often come up to our shop and they will just look through the boxes and pick whatever they want. And you could buy one, you could buy two, you could buy 10, and whatever you need. The beauty about who we are, because we have the red rose over there. I don't want to say anyone, but anyone could make a red rose. You see stuff like that all around the place. The beauty of who we are is that we can edit, we can change, we can use your fabric. So anything you see here, as I said, could be made in any material. The Vera Wang flower started almost like a center like this. It had, I think this might be actually the center of it. It was literally, she took these like jaggedy petals to create that. Then you had this medium one here, then this larger one. And the actual finished flower had an even larger petal behind that. It had multiple wired like teardrops, and it was really incredible. I'll see if I can find any as we're walking around. So, lots of flowers. We have more flower walls here. And Stacey's really giving you guys a good look at like all the different colors. So to the right in the video right now, you can see some of the hand dyed. And as we progress through this, I'm going to show you the dye room that we have, where we do all that stuff in-house, all the different colors. So you can see a lot of the different flowers are not just made with one fabric. There's some that are mixed and matched. So first things first, it all starts with fabric. It could be something like this. It could be a Burberry scarf, which we've actually worked with. It could be a roll of silk, which you could just see some of them over here. And we take the material and we apply a sizing to it to start. So we're going to walk to the back now, and I'm going to show you how we do that. I'm going to walk backwards, and I'm not going to hit anything. I could have them turn the music off if you think. Okay. So the first step in the process is to size the fabric. I use the word size or the starch. We have different starches that we use. This is one of them that you could get anywhere. There's some that we have that are a little more proprietary. And the idea is to give the fabric a little extra body so that it'll take whatever shaping that you try and give it. So if you're using a really lightweight silk organza, let's see what we have over here. So you can see get a good look. So the pinkish lavenderish fabric here is a silk satin based organza. So this has already been starched. It's sitting here drying. Let's be careful of the nails here. First thing that happens is they took the material while it was soft, they wrung it out in one of those buckets behind you. And you can see at the bottom of the bucket, there's still some of the remnants of the starch. It's just a liquid. So we stretch it on the frame here. So when we ask for fabric, we ask for it to be a minimum of a 1/4 yard, and that it's the full width of the goods. The 1/4 yard basically is about that. Realistically, I'm okay with even this. The important thing is that it's a nice rectangle so I can stretch it, because this way it doesn't wrinkle, it dries nice and crisp. A lot of times people will send us scraps of like, an oddly shaped thing, and technically I can work with it, but it becomes very tricky and it's hard to make. The goal is to make a nice flower, no matter what I'm doing, so it becomes trickier that way. So you can see here a larger piece of fabric. This is, I believe, the same material. That was probably an extra piece from it. So if my dad were here, the first thing he would notice is that we only have 2 pieces of fabric on the frame. And when times are good, we have the frame is full, because that means there's lots of stuff to starch, lots of stuff to cut, layer, et cetera, and go through the process. So it's just a little bad behind the stage stuff. So now we're going to go back to the cutting table. I will walk backwards again, and I will not hit anything, except the fire extinguisher. So I know it's a little cumbersome walking back and forth, especially on the video, but I'm doing it this way because this is literally the process and the order in which we do things. So I'm really trying to give you the full experience. So here on this table, we will take any of the different fabrics and we make layers out of them. So for example, this is a satin that is going to be cut into 72 camellia flowers. If you've heard the camellia, maybe you know the association with Chanel. The camellia is a real flower, but Chanel has sort of taken it under their wing, that style, and they sell them for lots of money. We sell them for less. We make camellias. This is a satin, and you can see it's heavier than that other fabric from before. This layer, which is a nice clean rectangle, has looks like 8 pieces high, meaning every cut that we do is going to give 8 pieces. The reason I point that out is because we don't always layer by 8, and we don't always layer this nicely. Here is a layer of a velvet, and you can see velvet is, of course, much thicker. So this we only layered by, this is only 3. We could do velvet by 4, but for whatever reason, this was only layered by 3, meaning each cut would give you 3 flowers.
You have a question.
Sure.
My question
Yeah.
was, can you use heavier material like vinyl?
Yes. So I sort of already start to get into it with the velvet because you can see velvet is heavier. We can cut anything that can be cut with a really sharp tool. I can cut and I can use. Vinyl in particular can melt sometimes when I get to the embossing process. So I can cut it for sure, and you'll get a really cool shape. In fact, I'll show you some vinyl flowers as we progress, but they don't get the same level of texture or detail because when we put them in the veiners, which is one of the next steps, the heat, because the veiner has a lot of heat and a lot of pressure, tends to make it bubble or melt or just kind of disfigure. So the question about thickness, yes, lots of different really cool materials. Here's another one, leather. We can work with all sorts of different kinds of leather. And I was talking to Stacy and Anna about this before. Leather, unlike silk, it comes in odd shapes because it's real leather. It's a skin, and you can see here when they make this layer. First of all, they only layer it by 4 because again, it's thicker than a silk, and the shape is not always a perfect rectangle. In fact, if you flip it over, you can see like there's little cutouts here. There's imperfections because it is what it is. It's leather. It's a natural material. So I'm showing you some of the heavier stuff, but if you want to go to the other opposite extreme, make sure I don't misplace anything.
Mhm.
So the other extreme are like lightweight silks, something like this, and this is layered by 11. And this is a satin-faced organza, which is what we saw in the frame before. And you can see that this is somewhat transparent.
So this was already
This,
sized.
everything here has been sized already. Yes. And there's even lighter weight materials than that. This is a silk sheer organza,
Ooh.
and the name says it all. Very transparent. So you could take the same style, like let's say a rose, because that's classic. I could cut the same rose in the satin, in the leather, in the velvet, and this, and each result's going to be really different. It'll still be a rose, it'll still be the same general idea, but this is going to be so much lighter and fluffier, whereas the leather will be so much more structured. And people always ask what's better, what material is better for flowers or worse, and the answer is everything. Whatever you bring me is what you're going to get if we're using your fabrics. So this is where we prepare the fabric. We're then going to take a little walk and we're going to go back to the cutting area.
We have another question. about
Question,
the
bring it on.
sizing. So does only the lightweight fabrics have to be sized, or is everything sized?
Good question. Thank you for the question. As I told you, they helped me. So if it's a silk or a satin, I will take it, I put it in the bucket, I wring it out, and I stretch it on the frame. If it is a leather, depending on how thick it is, some thick leathers, I don't even have to size them. Other ones, you never want to take a leather and just submerge it because you're gonna ruin it. So with leather, if I do have to size it, what I'll do is I'll put it on like a board. I'll take a sponge and I'll dab it so that I sponge, we call it sponging. I'll sponge starch the back of the leather so that the top of the leather stays super nice and plush and leathery. And the same really goes for velvet. Velvet is soft and velvety. I don't know what else to call it, but you know what I mean. If you were to take it and put it in a starch, it's going to become stiff and it won't be good. Some velvet we typically have to starch, but we'll do the same idea. We'll dab the back with a sponge, gives it extra body, lets it take the shape, but doesn't ruin the velvet. So we come back here And before we even get to actual cutting, I'm going to show you some of the tools we use.
Mhm.
And this, to me, is the cool parts of our business. The tools that have been in the family for, some of these are over 100 years old.
They look like cookie cutters.
They are very similar to cookie cutters. Same idea. So some of them, like the dahlias here, I have a lot of different sizes. You pretty much give me a size and I have it. Same with the daisies, the next shelf up. Some of the more intricate shapes, like these guys down here, we have just the one you see. So in the old days, all of the tools had a stem like that, and a really strong person like Alex over there would take the stem, take the rubber hammer, and he'd swing it really hard, and it would cut through, and you get die cut petals from that. It seems maybe simple enough to do a couple. I've done it. We have a table over there that we do it, and this sometimes. Usually my first hit isn't this, it's not just like you have to give power.
So it's like construction.
Yeah, for sure. So you imagine doing an order where you're lucky enough to get 500 flowers. Each flower has 5 petals. That's 2,500 petals. The fabric is layered by 10. So now you have to do 250 cuts like that, swinging a hammer. Seems like a lot of work.
Wow.
As long as I've been alive, we don't have to do that. We take the same tools and we actually saw the stem off. So you can see this had the stem, but it was cut off. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this. I'm going to cut some.
I wanted to know if you had jasmine flowers, or do you have all types of flowers? So jasmine.
So we have all sorts of different types of flowers. Yes and yes. Yes to all of it. When we're done, of course, if you go to our website, which is Custom Fabric Flowers, makes sense. There's a couple different galleries where you can really see a lot of what we do. So I'm going to cut something with this, and then we're going to segue to what Alex is cutting, so you guys can watch him cut some stuff too. So this arm here, I push a button and it comes down with more power than anybody's arm. So it's way better than swinging hammers. It's a lot easier. You just don't want to put your hand underneath. Some tools are thicker than others, so you have to adjust the arm. And I always start out higher, because if I go too low, you can damage the tool. I think I got it. Voila. Yeah.
Wow.
So this is just, I just picked a random shape here, obviously a daisy. This is called our 3.5-inch daisy. Some of our tools have numbers on the back of them up here, and some of them just have obvious names, like this measures 3.5 inches, and it's a daisy. It's not rocket science. Some of them have very funny origins to their names, like there's the Debbie Rose, because my aunt's name was Debbie, and that's it. There's the 2T laundry flower, because we once made flowers for a company called Laundry by Shelley Siegel, I think.
Yeah.
That was 20 years ago. But we make the flower today, and I want him to cut it. I say, Al, I need some of the 2T laundry. He knows what to do. So I'm gonna put this away. We can check out what Al is doing here. This is a somewhat top secret project, so I won't comment too much on the origin. But you can see that he is doing the die cutting because it's a thicker material. His layer probably has 4 cases. What I just did, it has like 10.
I'm not going to say the name.
So this is how you get cutouts. We have a lot of different gutters, a lot of 4 fingers, a lot of daisies.
So we have a question. I
Sure.
want to know, what do you do with the scraps? Are you sustainable?
Yes, done. So the fabric cutouts, scraps. First of all, as far as sustainability, the very existence of what we do, quite often we're using stuff that other people would throw out. When you're done with a flower, you have cutouts. I'm going to grab one right here. So you can see Alex is pretty good about being efficient, but there's always something left. We try our best to not throw things out. Each thing, that's not a garbage. As I throw something out. Each thing has its own kind of story. If it's a proprietary fabric that belongs to someone, I'll either give it back to them or I'll save it. We have a lot of, as you see, we walk around, we have a lot of the cutouts just hanging because they're really cool. We work with the company Material for the Arts. They're also a nonprofit, and they donate to different schools and different good things. And once or twice a year, they come up with like basically a dumpster, and we give them a whole pile of stuff like that. Students come up to our shop and we'll often give them the cutouts. And we had one who once took a white cutout on a black dress, and the contrast is really, really cool. So next step in the process, we have the presses, the flower molds. So these things have been around also a very, very long time. In the old days, there was a gas stove underneath here with actual fire. This was until about a couple of years ago. They actually turned the gas in our building off. There was some nonsense with the government. And yeah, so we use coffee pots now. They're very innovative here at M&S Schmalberg.
If it works, it works, right?
That's it. So I took the cool off over here, and I'm going to take a few of these petals that we just cut together, put in this veiner, and you can see it's a perfect fit. Close it up like that. And I haven't done this in a very long time. And you can see the result. And just to be super clear, you can see the before and the after. I'll do one more for you. So in this case, I took a petal that's a perfect fit, but it doesn't have to be a perfect fit. You can always take different cutters and different veiners, and you get new results every time. You really don't have to press it for very long. No, so each material is different. If I was using, this is a silk, so I was able to do a few at a time and they'd separate it on their own. If I was using leather, I would use even less pressure, and I would use one at a time because the leather, they tend to stick to each other.
And without the starching, would they not stay?
Correct.
Okay.
So without the starching, I'm just thinking about it. Without the starching, if it was a silk, it just wouldn't take any shape. That's really what it comes down to. This is what you need the starching for. I mean, here I'm just taking a completely different petal, even better. I'm gonna take this one. I don't even know where this came from, but it's felt. It's a 5-finger petal, and it doesn't belong in here. So let's put it. Same idea. You give a little pressure like that, and you get something completely new. So you can see now that has ridges. Obviously, this 5-finger petal is not meant to go in the daisy veiner, but it's just a great example of the infinite nature of what we do. So cool. So this is the old way. Just like the die cutting, we have an old way and a new way. I'm gonna put that back on the coffee pot so it's hot. Then we come over here. These are electric presses. They are hydraulic. There's a compressor in one of the other rooms. We've had these for about 30 years, and the guy who sold it to my dad called him up one day and said to my dad, he's like, Warren, I invented a new machine. I want you to come check it out. And picture like the 70s or the 80s, seeing something like this. You know, my dad's an old school guy. He sees this, it reminds him of like Dr. Octopus. And he's like, from Spider-Man. And he's like, no thanks, I'm good. Years go by, we're sitting there turning the wheel like cavemen. We probably were busy at the time, and at some point it just kind of hit them like, hey, let me try one of these things. And it's a no-brainer, and you'll kind of see that. So, I'm trying to find, I don't have any of these pedals cut, so I'm seeing what I can work with. But this is a good example. This is not a perfect fit for that. I might get yelled at. So if we have to run, we'll run. But basically, compared to what I did before, there's no gas stove here. These use electric hot plates, which is already a good thing because you can regulate the heat. So if you're using silk versus velvet versus leather, you might want more heat or less heat. You can also regulate the pressure. So same rule, different materials, you want either harder or softer. We made flowers the other day out of subway maps, paper, which it's paper. Imagine putting paper in a hot thing. A lot of them were cracking, and it was very, very tricky. And Alex had this thing going as slow as it could possibly go. Because if you went too fast, like you normally do, you would destroy the paper. So again, this is not a perfect fit. We're just playing here. Exactly. So that is actually pretty cool. Again, something completely new that we just all invented together.
Adam, I'm jumping on, my son.
Hey, I know that voice.
I know that voice. Hey,
So
gang.
that is my father, third generation owner of M&S Schmalberg.
So happy to be here and watch Adam do his thing. So I'm quiet and just pay attention. Thanks.
Yeah, well, now I'm nervous. So another nice part about this is that, so for those of you guys who don't realize, my dad, I said, hasn't been to work in probably 2 years. So he's probably really enjoying this, seeing all the stuff going on. So that tool over there is pretty heavy. In addition, it's really hot.
They were asking which do you prefer, the electrical or manual?
So that's an easy question. What do you prefer, driving or walking? So you're holding the camera, so I won't make you my guinea pig, but one of you want to try and pick the tool up?
Good luck, Annalise.
So they're very heavy. So if you can imagine trying to work with something that's very heavy like this, and it just happens to be 200, 300 degrees, would you rather the electric one where you don't have to touch it, or the other one where you got to pick it up? Easy answer. So any of the tools that have the stems like this have been retrofitted to go on the electric press. And you can see, like, we have a lot of different forefingers here. This is really smooth. This is a camellia veiner. This one has a little more detail. This one has a lot more detail. So any of the different cutters, any of the stuff that we just played with can be put in different veiners. So people are always asking, like, what different custom options are available. It's infinite, really. And any of these ideas that we just created, these shapes we just played around and made, could be done in any fabric.
Oh,
So
this is how you lay out the scraps. So
Yeah, so you can see some of the scraps here.
you can make a dress out of this.
You can make a dress out of this, sure. I mean, I can, but you probably can. This is a like almost a python skin, then embossed leather of sorts.
Someone asked, what is the most popular style of flowers?
Most popular. We're gonna get away from the machine to make some noise. So someone asked what the most popular style of flower. I think you can't go wrong with a rose. Roses are classic, of course. When I sell flowers online, I find the camellias are very popular. I think the reason for that is Chanel thing. They've sort of created this brand with it, and the fact that we're able to sell them a lot less is appealing. Poppies, we sell a lot of poppies. They're really multifaceted. People wear them for Memorial Day, Veterans Day, Remembrance Day. Those I would say is probably the most popular styles. That answers it.
I want to know about the scraps, what you would do with it, instead of saying, for cover up, for swimsuit, or.
Yes to all of it. So there's only one occasion that I can remember where we actually intentionally made cutouts with no intention of using the petals. It was for, I think it was for Tiffany, for the, like some sort of window display or something. And they gave us instructions to like make a beautiful layer of fabric and just do a geometric design cutout. And that's what they want. I don't even think they wanted the petals. They just wanted the cutouts, which is interesting. I don't even know what I never saw a result of what we did with it. But yeah, that's, it's art. Especially, you know, you saw me playing around back there, and you maybe can tell that I kind of know what I'm doing, but it's not something I do every day. Alex, the one who does the cutting, and Muzo, Alvaro, the ones who do the pressing, this is their bread and butter. They do this stuff like we all, like everyone here does what they do. Everyone has stuff they're really good at. So now we get to the ladies, and this is where they put all the flowers together.
Can I look closer?
Yeah, yeah. So right here you have Silvana. Silvana is working on little carnations for a
Hola, mi-
costume shop. What's that? No interrupting.
Hola, mi amiga Silvana.
Oh, es el jefe. So Silvana is working on carnations for a very large costume shop for a theme park in Orlando, Florida. I won't say the name, but it rhymes with Schmizny. These are for Rapunzel's hair. These are 150 of these little carnations. And you can see she's mixing 3 different fabrics together to create these. The first thing she's doing is creating what we call a tie. And this is a tie. It's a few petals that she takes and twists on a wire. I could display it, but she does it better than me anyway. And it's the first step of making the flower. So everything we do is sort of like a assembly line. So she's gonna make, this order's 150 flowers. She's gonna make 150 of these things.
So this is blue?
That is glue. It's a craft glue, non-toxic craft glue. We used to use a toxic craft glue, but then Silvana was dancing on the table and it's no good. And it didn't work for anybody. So when those are done, she's then gonna take 3 more petals, and what she's gonna do is slip them, we call it. I think she might be doing it right now. Yeah, no, she is. And she's gonna make it into the actual finished carnation. And then she puts it on the line here to dry. And once they're dry, these are gonna get hair clips. Flowers can be finished with anything, but in this case, these are going in Rapunzel's hair. And if you do a search for Rapunzel, I guess Rapunzel flowers, one of the pictures you see will be these. As we go to the next one, we got over here. So here's Sylvia working on camellias, the world's famous camellias. These are in black velvet. I know it's hard to sometimes capture blacks in like video on the cell phone. You can get a lot of shadows. Perfect. So this, in order to do this, the very first thing that happens is they make the buds like that. Making a bud is tricky. I'm not very good at it, but I'll show you a general idea, and then we'll have one of the ladies do one. So like what Silvana did before to make a tie is basically taking two petals like this and twisting them a couple times, and you create a poof. I can kind of do that because I sort of just did. To make a bud, they take something to put it in the middle, and they cut them up like one at a time, and they do it way better than me. And it's essentially like this. I'm never going to be very good at it because I don't have the surgeon hands that they do. And the finished result is something like that. And just like with Silvana, somebody makes the buds, they let them dry. And then the next step is to, as we call it, slip the petals up. And this is a 3T flower. It has 3 different shapes. You have first the shape of the bud. She's putting glue on the back, and she's taking one of the medium petals and sliding it up. And then she's going to take, I believe, 2 layers of the larger petal and put that in the back.
So the glue dries clear.
Yes, of course, the glue dries clear. When you're working with a velvet, it's not maybe as important, but if you're working with a silk organza or something super lightweight, it's a big deal if you don't want to see it.
Do you work with glitter? Like glitter?
So we work with some sequence material, which has a lot of the sparkle. We have a dye room, which I'll take you all in and show you how that works. And we've glitter sprayed flowers as well. Yes. Any material or any variation you could think of, we've done. Carmen over here is making roses. And she's also, so remember the tie that Silvana made. Carmen also made a tie, but she did it with a different petal shape. The technique is the same, but using a different shape, you get a completely different result. So those were all hand-dyed flowers. The cool thing about the hand-dyed flowers is every batch comes out unique. I like all of them. They're all really nice, but they're different. So like you make a batch, you sell 20 or 30 of them, they're gone. You have to make them again. They come out different, which is, I guess, what makes them so unique and beautiful. So we have all the flowers on the lines here where they dry. And when they're done, you can put a pin on them, you put a hair clip, you could do long stems, which we've done for Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, etc. You could take a bunch of flowers and create a bouquet.
So when you do the crystal part of the flower, the middle part, that's
Yeah.
done at this process, or is it done after?
Which
This
is the
batch.
crystal part?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
You had one of the flowers in the front that had crystals, or
I got you. Come here. I'm gonna show you two things now.
look at the hat.
First thing I'm going to show you, and it's going to be a little loud in there because there's a fan on, is the dye room. And this is one of the nice things about doing a virtual tour. The dye room is very small. If there were 10 or 15 people here, I probably wouldn't even bother with it. But because there's only a couple of us, we can all fit. So we take stacks of petals, different shapes and whatever, and we tip dye them in all these different dyes. So I'll say the first thing that I notice when I come in here always is the smell. I smell the alcohols and the dyes, and it brings me back to being a kid and hanging out with my aunt, and she was trying to like match colors for stamens, or even my dad just mixing and matching and creating new things. So any like the blue shading that you saw over there is done in this room. We have glitter spray somewhere up here, and we can spray glitter on different petals. You asked about stones. We do that over here. So you can see some results. This is the type of work you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Just to give everyone an example of what you're talking about.
This is gorgeous. The butterfly.
But are awesome. This one right here is a petal or like a leaf that is. And I don't know if you can really see it through Zoom, but there's a couple hundred maybe individual stones that are placed on there. And we could take a few of those and assemble a flower out of that. So the stones, we do that on one house. We do it two different ways.
So this is the subway map you were talking about.
Yeah, yeah. You can see it. I mean, if you took a scissors, you could cut it. So when doing rhinestones, we have two different processes that we do. We have this kick-on machine. This works as if you have like a diamond ring or something where you have the clasp that goes through the prongs. This takes one stone at a time and prongs it through. You can see some of the leftover prongs, if you will. Then we have a heat press machine here, which is how we did that leaf, blue leaf. And Elizabeth, the one who uses this, she'll take a leaf, she'll put it down, and she'll take tweezers, and literally one stone at a time, she will create whatever design it is. So those are every bit as much work as they look like. I always think, because I don't have those delicate hands like they do, I just think to myself, like, what if he sneezes? The things go flying everywhere. But she does, she's laughing at me because she does it. This is what she does. Like I said, everyone has their thing that they're really good at, and she is excellent at stuff. So the stones, we do it on different trims. We could do stones, nail heads, pearls on hats. We could do it on veiling, or of course the flowers, which are what you saw back in the main showroom. So come with me. Look at that. You get married in for more. So we're going to get Miriam. Fun fact about Miriam, she's been here longer than I've been alive. She has told me she remembers when my dad came to work and said that, not he, but my mom was pregnant. And she's still here, she's still rocking. And she's gonna make a couple flowers and we're gonna talk you through it a little bit.
Okay. Okay.
Hola, Miriam. ¿Cómo está?
What you doing there?
I'm sitting-
decided to
join
too.
What are you doing
wanna
there?
know- If you really want to know, Miriam, I'm sitting by the pool watching this beautiful video. Mucho tranquilo.
Believe me, we sweating here, doing making beauties for beauties.
I know you are
And, the
very busy thinking about you guys.
my God. But I'm
Goodbye.
glad. I'm so happy for you.
I know you are. I love you too.
I'm gonna be like that in 1 month, okay? And so Sua.
And,
Okay.
and you
Yeah.
deserve that.
Okay. So
Bye.
we're gonna make what we call it a gardenia. So we're using 2 fabric and 2 tools, like 2 different sizes of the gardenia to make a 2T gardenia. 2T, 2 fabric, okay? And what we do is, you see how they give us the fabric, I mean, all the fabric was really pressed. We have to separate the petals. And, okay, take a wire, and I take 2 pieces of the organza, which is organza and satin face organza that we're using. Using 2 pieces of the organza. The first petal is organza, the second is satin face, and then in the top organza again. And we make a tie, hold it like that, into the wire, hold it again, go down, then up, and we make the center of the flower. Okay? After this, and then we're gonna slip 4 pieces, like the 2 of each fabric in the back to complete the flower. Then we're gonna use the glue.
Is this like Elmer's glue or?
It's almost glue, but they do this for us, especially in this fabric. I mean, this company, and it's like you can use a almost different house. So, and the way we make when we slip, you see, we go all around the petals, and we put also in between the edge, not on top of the flower. So this, and in between, and then I take another petal and the satin face, and we go like always looking to the hole, because I'm gonna use the hole, and to the organza again. This is slip.
So can you buy this separate, or would you go to your Etsy shop and buy it like this and then make it yourself at home, or you have to buy it already?
The petal.
Yeah.
He show you how we make the petals, how we
So
cut
what
it.
I'm saying is, can you buy them online and then make them yourself at home? With the at home kit?
Yeah, yes, yes. That will be good, because that's how we teaching you guys how to make it, and then you can do it yourself in the house. See, this is the gardenia. Okay. Okay. So the other flower that we make, we're gonna make a rose. We're calling it nylon rose, and we're using a bud. It's different flowers. This is the bud, and this is gonna be the back of the flower to make a rose. So this is only 1 fabric that I'm using, not 2 fabric. And for this, we have to use something inside to hold the bud. So what we're using is this little petal. And we tie like this. And go all around with the glue and the petal. Like this. And we close it up like this. Okay.
So is there a way, like you do it clockwise or you just fill it out?
Well, that's for to close the bud. That's how you're gonna do it because you can do it like this. You know, you can use anything if you want it, but if you want to close the bud like this. So, hold it down. Some more glue. See how it's coming. One more petal. And this is the bud for the pros. Okay. See how it's coming along? And one more petal. So we make this from like 3 pieces in the bud and 3 pieces in the back. If you want to use more, if the fabric was like organza, maybe using 4 and 4. So it depends if you want to put it. But I think this is perfect for this fabric. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So pretty much all the flowers we use with the glue.
Thank
Right.
you so much.
much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Oh, wall thing. Yeah, let's do it. We're going to the wall thing. And then we're gonna do the Q&A.
We gotta talk about this flower. We come back. Okay.
So, in the whole way here, we just have a bunch of cool pictures showing different things that we've done as projects. This picture here is the oldest picture that I know of the factory. This is the garment district in the 1940s. This is 35th Street, where we used to have a street-level store. I know it's really hard to see on the Zoom. The reason this picture is up here is because right there, you can see our old street-level sign of M&S Schmalberg. Just below that, we have one of the most important pictures in the whole company. This is our first ever Instagram post of the devilishly handsome, quite funny and articulate Warren, my dad. He's still there? Probably. Below you have the New York Times article that we ran a while back. He said it was really amazing.
Yeah, your father's back.
He's got a pool. These are Rapunzel, and you can see she's wearing all the different flowers in her hair.
Those are the ones that we just saw.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm not going to go through all this. It's just too much stuff here. The big one over there is the Radio City Rockettes. Everybody, of course, loves Beyonce. This is cool. Nothing to see there. I don't even remember how these made it onto her, and nobody told us about it. I like stumbled onto it. So many times we make flowers for different projects, and it's never brought to us. Like, oh, by the way, the president wore your flowers, or whoever, or Rihanna over there. Yes. This is some of the newer stuff over here. Anyone who watches Game of Thrones knows Rick Casey.
Mother of Dragons.
Is this
Yeah.
Crazy
That is
Rich Asians?
from Crazy Rich Asians. My wife loves that movie. The dress is by Marquesa. That's another one. We didn't know what it was for. We knew it was for some VIP project. That's all we knew. This is Lucy Boynton. It's everyone knows Remy now. He was in Bohemian Rhapsody. That's his girlfriend. I think she was in the movie too. And this was with a company, Lelette, L-E-L-E-T. They make head pieces. You should be embarrassed. You're about to pull like that. I don't think you can hear us. All right. So they came in here, and this was like a super rush project for the Metro. For the Met, and not the Metropolitan. No, I'm missing it. The Met Gala. That's it. And they came here like 2 in the afternoon. They needed that tonight.
Wow.
And that's what we do. That's the beauty of being a company that's in New York City. So we should go back inside. Kind of echo me.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So right now, I'm walking through our showroom, which is being completely renovated. We repainted the room. We're putting back together jewelry cases. We're gonna put some. Next time you come here, get into us. It's gonna be some flowers on the wall. It's gonna be really awesome.
How does you make this one? This is,
So this flower here, first there's a button in the center. This button is made by some sort of like metal factory or something. We cut 3 different shaped petals. You have this, let's call it the smaller one here. You have the medium one here, and you have the larger one in the back. We cut the petals, we embossed the petals. We then added the stones one at a time. You can see the grommets in the back, like the clasp. And then the flowers are made using the same process that Miriam just showed you.
that's cool. Okay, come here. You want to sit down first before we do that?
Does his father miss work? Look at him. He's by the pool.
Okay, so now we're back. We have Adam here for some Q&A questions. I'm going to go ahead and share some of them from the chat. I know you've answered some of them already. Let's see, I'm just going back. Do only lightweight fabrics need to be sized and starched?
So it's not necessarily just lightweight fabrics, but different fabrics are different in how we treat them. Silks, polyesters, cottons, we starch them. We typically submerge them, wring them out, and hang them on the frame. If we're using heavier materials, like velvet or leather. Lucia, do we have any vinyl flowers?
Vinyl?
Do we make any more? Just to show them?
I'm not happy with that.
All right, thank you. If we're doing velvet or leather, we'll sponge the back, which is what I said. Like we just take the sponge and dab it. Some leathers you don't have to starch. One of the staff members going to see if she can get one of those vinyl flowers to show you.
And then what was the name of the company that the scrap was given to again?
So we donate to a few different companies. We get a lot of people reach out to us. I had somebody reach out to me yesterday with an animal welfare company that piqued my interest, and I sent them a few flowers as some sort of prize for a raffle. But the answer to that specific question, it's called Material for the Arts. I think it's, if you do like mtfa.org possibly, but if you just search Material for the Arts, they come up. And we give them all sorts of stuff. And what's really cool is then we get letters from different schools and places that the things ended up just thanking us and telling us about it. So it's nice to see the full cycle.
Thank you. Did you run around the factory as a child, eventually learning all of this, or did you
Yes.
learn along the way?
So in some level, of course, I've been here my entire life. I'm 37 now. When when I was a kid, we were on 35th Street and we had a fabric store. And I don't remember this, but my dad would tell me stories. So we have these boxes here that we put flowers in. And yes, the flowers are pretty, but that's not even what I'm showing you here. My dad used to put fabric in the box and then put me in the box and I would nap in it. That's anything? Oh, perfect.
This is vinyl,
Ooh.
that's vinyl. This is straw.
So this is a flower made from vinyl. So I know it's really hard to get the texture, but this is really cool. This is another kind of vinyl, and this wasn't embossed at all. This is basically shapes that were cut and then manipulated by hand to create this really cool finished piece. And Lucia, just bringing us cool stuff, brought us these flowers that are made from straw.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like from a hat body. So yeah, I grew up in the business. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. You know, you grow up and your parents do what they do. And my dad was the flower man, and I never really, I just sort of took it for granted. When I was younger, the business was 80 or 90 years old, and like, okay, cool, whatever. Maybe 12 years ago, I started coming in here, and at the time, I think I even said, like, you don't have to pay me, just pay for my train ticket. And what started to get to me was seeing people visit our shop for the first time with stories like that they've heard about us for 10 years, 20 years, and always wanted to come here, you know, from like Australia and England and different places. And I think when you see things through other people's eyes, you start to really appreciate it. And eventually we hit that 100-year milestone. And I have a whole new appreciation for this place. And today, there's nowhere else I'd rather be. I went to school for psychology. I didn't know what I wanted to do.
We have a comment that says, hands up for Dad for passing this down the generation.
Yes, round of applause for my dad. He is awesome, and he is a big reason that we are still here. All jokes aside, I mentioned how my grandfather was a survivor, and his work ethic and everything that helped him be the man he was. He passed that stuff down to my father, and my dad got as much of it as he can, and I probably have 20% of it left, and I'll pass whatever I can down to my daughter.
Question for Warren, do you miss work? Do you miss being here? Or are you happy by the pool?
Oh my gosh. I'm so happy to hear Adam share his love for this place. And I'm happy, you know, to be by the pool, of course, but I'm so very emotionally involved with the business. And you know, it's definitely my life. And it's, you know, there's a lot of emotion with the whole thing. But watching Adam take charge and keep it alive, because by no means as smiley as Adam and I, yeah, it's a struggle to be in business today. Imagine, I always say, whoever's standing next to you, from if you're wearing a hat to your shoes and glasses and shirts and socks, and what's made in America? Not much, and especially in New York. So for us to still be having girls and guys happy to come to work with us 30, 40 years, making flowers by hand, it's pretty major. So yeah, I mean, answering your question, I step in there once in a while, but it's Adam's time. You know, I did my 40 plus years of full time, and right now, you know, he's doing a great job, and I'm so happy you guys made this happen today. It's pretty great. Thank you.
He went to the beach with my daughter today, and now he's at the pool.
I did. I hung out with my little granddaughter, and she was so happy. She's got that. Look, so everybody count your blessings. You know, we're all healthy today.
Yeah,
Amen.
very true. Very true. Question from an audience member, is digital printing a threat to this handcrafting that you do here at M&S, or are there technologies that are imposing
No.
on your area, or you feel like you've got this area that's such a specialty and it's really yours?
The biggest threat to us is the made in China world. And that's just sort of the term we give it, the umbrella term, but it's China and other countries, third world countries that pay, you know, minimal labors and all that stuff. No, because of the unique custom nature of what we do, there's no mechanism that can really threaten that. In order to take a scarf and turn it into flowers, by the time you set up a machine that's going to do that on a production level, I could go make the 3 flowers and be done with the order. It's really just the threat of offshore, which happened. I mean, it started many years ago. My dad and my aunt would tell me stories of, you get a big company that would come up to the shop, they'd want samples, they wouldn't want to pay for them because they think that they're super important from their big company. And then you're busy, you don't even hear from them or think about it again. And then we'd be walking through Macy's or Bloomingdale's or whatever store, and you see racks of clothing with essentially a knockoff of what you helped create. And that's the real bummer. Like my dad said, nothing probably that any of us was wearing is made here, made in New York City. This garment district was once the thriving manufacturing capital of the world. Digital printing, I mean, there's what's it called? There's like fabric printing that's really cool. I know it's not what you asked, but there's fabric printing. People have had like logos and designs put on fabrics that we're able to cut. There's laser cutters, which can be used to cut flat petals, but it's a different process altogether. It kind of burns the edges. It doesn't do the embossing, so there's no level of detail or anything. That's not really the competition. It's a different thing.
And I have a general question for you. So I know you work with all of the big name designers, emerging designers, students. What's the best way if someone is interested in working with you to start the process? Do they email you? Do they stop by for a visit?
Yes to all of it. So because of the unique nature of who we are and what we do, every client and every project is different. I've had people who've had experiences like this, like hey, I just took the I don't know if we call this a webinar, but I just took the tour and I'd love to do this project. If you're thinking that right now, when we're done, call me. The number's 212-244-2090, or go to our website, which is customfabricflowers.com. Somebody just actually typed that in. So it's exactly what you just wrote, .com. From there, you could contact us. There's a shop. Any way you want to start the conversation. We had the Vera Wang designer who came up to the shop and did a lot of her own designing. We've had people that have emailed me with vague ideas of what they want, and I go back and forth and help narrow it down. I've had people call me. I feel like that's my personal specialty, is taking your ideas, however vague or specific they might be, and helping turn it into something really cool.
Yeah, it's really a magical place. So I encourage you to stop by, be in touch with Adam, and support our garment district businesses. Places like this are so unique, and I feel very fortunate that you've invited Custom Collaborative and Garment District Alliance into your shop, given us so much information, and I feel very inspired.
Good, thank you.
Jumping in for a second, you know, it's
Hi,
infinite.
Anthony.
Hi.
It's Miriam. Hi, how's everybody?
Hi,
Thank you
Miriam.
so much. Yes, thank you so very much for the presentation.
Hi,
Adam,
Miriam,
thank you
Miriam,
for-
can you go on mute for a minute, please?
Oh, sure.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I want to do number again.
We'll come right back to you. No,
Yeah.
I was just, you know, we'll get somebody who's got her grandmother's old dress that is meaningful to them. The grandmother sadly passed away, and they'll call Adam and say, you know, I heard you work with Any Fabric. Can we send you a dress of my grandmother's? It has holes in it, but it's old and it's damaged, but we need something to remember her. Can you make flowers out of that, for example? We'll do something like that. Or a young girl's getting married. She found out about us, and she'll have her dress custom made, and she's being treated like a Cinderella. And Adam will offer, if you give us the fabric of your dress, we'll make you 100 rosebuds, so you could put one on every plate of the women at your wedding. And on and on. You know, it used to be Garment Center, now it's, you know, Kentucky Derby, and I can go on, but you know, you could just imagine anything, any piece of fabric that you come across, as meaningful or not, you can turn into something that will last forever. And I don't know, like, because it's such a big world out there that the avenues from window displays, like Adam mentioned, paper flowers, we just did for somebody above the level of Tiffany jewelry, but that extent gave us material for the third season. Once it was leather, this time it was paper. And you'll go to their stores, whether it's in Paris or any high-end country, their showrooms, their windows are going to be displayed with our flowers, and they'll embellish it with their, zillion-dollar jewelry and necklaces. He's doing something with the Sarah Jessica Parker group for their upcoming film. That's a big deal. Costumes, theater, we sell Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. So it's hard for me not to stay optimistic that we will be okay, as hard as it is for the past probably 15 years. From an accountant standpoint, it's not so pretty, but from positive thinking and just staying in the hope, I do think it's going to be a good story, and Adam's got as many years left as he wants to put into it. But thank you again for inviting me. Great.
Thank you so much, Warren. We really appreciate it. Okay, so time for maybe 2 more questions. Miriam, I know you had a question.
Yes, I apologize for earlier. I didn't know I couldn't come. I didn't realize somebody was still talking, so I apologize. I wanted to know if the phone number can be repeated, please.
I could type it in the chat, maybe.
Sure.
Well, this is going. Let's do it. I'm going to type it in. Let me see if I can figure this thing out. Everyone.
Yes.
I'm going to put our website, my
Thank you.
email, and the phone number in the chat.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll be sure to share it with the rest of the group as well after the workshop. Any other questions?
Oh, yes. I just wanted to know, did you all have a part in the Macy's flower show?
No, so we're very close to 34th Street, where the big Macy's, the flagship store is. And my dad and I have walked through it a few different times.
Okay.
During the height of the show, and that's one of there's a lot of things, and this is something that he's very big on, and I've gotten big on. Like, there's certain ideas that seem like such perfect, obvious fits for us, but it's not always easy to contact like the right person. There's a CBS Sunday Morning News that my dad really likes. He watches it a lot, and they tackle these really, they make these really interesting stories, super high quality video of like a coal miner or just something. And they could make such an incredible video of our shop. They have things to write about. Like, we would be a perfect fit. And we've like it's hard to make it come together. So
Right.
we would love to be part of the Macy's Flower Show. A lot of the flowers there are real. I think the majority of them are.
Yes, I went, and it was beautiful.
It's magnificent. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, do we have anything from Angelique or Ngozi before we start to wrap up?
And of course, if anybody has any thoughts for Adam or us that might be of any ideas, please email Adam with ideas. And we pay a great commission if something comes out of it. You never know.
You're on mute.
Yeah, we don't have any money these days, Dad. I'm sorry.
Well, this was wonderful. I mean, so many different beautiful flowers, so inspirational. And I love the backstory on it of your family. Really inspiring. It's the American dream, right? Immigrants that come to this country, work hard, build a business, build a life, and pass it on. I think it's beautiful.
And then go to the pool.
And then go to the pool, the American dream.
Yeah.
You gotta do it, right? So I had a quick question. I heard you earlier mention feathers. I work with feathers a lot. Do you make flowers from feathers or incorporate them in the flower process?
So we do not make feathers. There's a local feather shop that we've worked with a lot and we refer people to. we can incorporate feathers into our flowers. And
Okay.
any flower you see, if either if you brought feathers or if you wanted me to like get them, like we could add the feathers, but we don't generally make feather flowers.
Okay, cool.
I've done a couple projects with like feathers, they can like shed it. I don't want to say be dirty, but like it could become like a poof ball. And I
It's
remember
messy.
one
It
time
definitely is messy.
one time we did something where I cut a
You're on mute again.
Sorry about that.
there was one time I cut some sort of fur or something, and I remember by the time I was in the back doing the cutting, it's a few years ago, and by the time I was done, my entire shirt was just covered in that like that poof.
Yeah.
Did you want to?
Yes. Okay, I think we're wrapping up here. I will pass it over to Ngozi for some final thoughts.
Yeah, thank you so much, Adam, and everybody. This has been just a really enlightening tour and question and answer session, trying to get my invitation to the pool. And so I just wanted to share that, we worked on a project with you earlier this year. We did some fabric flowers ourselves at Custom Collaborative. This is my attempt, and it was so great. Like you said, some of the fabric is donated. The fabric was donated by Fab Scrap, and it was for Earth Day. And so then a hotel has these a bouquet of these flowers, basically on their awning. So we'll make sure to send it to you. Yes, we'll definitely send you a picture and share the Instagram. I'm just so glad that you were able to share with us. We are praying and hoping that your business will continue to grow post-COVID. And again, we're so grateful to have been with you. In fact, our next workshop, which is next week, is on draping. It's our last workshop for a couple of months. Custom Collaborative is closing for July 1st through 31st, just so we can work on some internal projects. But I'm so glad that we're able to wrap up on this high note with you. So thank you again so much for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you. One thing before I go, I just want to say, everything you guys do is incredible. Thank you for featuring us. I forgot to do this beforehand, but as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to go to our shop. I'm going to create a coupon code. I'll make the code custom, so that's easy for everyone to remember. So if anyone's watching this and thinking, how can I get their flowers? If you go to our website, on the top right, there's a button that says shop, and you click the button. There's a couple hundred flowers there. I'll talk to Anthony and see what I should put the coupon code for, but it'll be custom, and just give me 10 minutes and I'll make it.
Thank you
As a thank you.
Thank you so much. This is a great gift. Over to Anthony.
All right. Well, thanks again to Adam. Thank you to Warren. Thank you to Garment District Alliance. And we look forward to hopefully seeing some of you next week for our next workshop. Until then, have a great rest of your week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.